Since 2013, we have been promised by Elon Musk, among other tech and transport tycoons, futuristic hyperloops that enable people to travel up to 750 miles per hour in autonomous electric pods through vacuum tubes that would make the trip from Los Angeles to Chicago take less than 2 hours. Now we are in 2023, and there is not a single operational hyperloop anywhere in the world, and more mysteriously, none are being built either. Of course, this would not be the first time that Musk and the likes of Richard Branson have let us down. After all, they did also promise us affordable space trips, but the idea is still far-fetched unless you have a few $1 million to spare. This makes us wonder why corporations move their focus from developing hyperloops for people to ones for cargo containers. Is it a financial issue and related to profits? Or is there something else, a mystery that has to do with the nature of the human body, the surface of planet Earth, and the laws of physics? Stay tuned to get all the answers. The idea of long-range city-to-city high-speed trains was popularized by Japanese engineers about 55 years ago when they announced the Shinkansen train system. In 1964, and just before the Olympics, the Japanese launched the first bullet train as they are known today into operation. It was a major breakthrough that is still worth envying. Naturally, other countries followed suit, however. For the superiorly innovative tech tycoons such as Elon Musk, bullet trains were still slow, and in the past 2 decades, the idea of the hyperloops began to take shape and investment poured in. Musk called it the fifth mode of transportation, the other 4 being automobiles, ships, planes, and trains. The idea is not new and has been in use for nearly 200 years, but for the transport of small objects rather than people. In fact, pneumatic tube transport or PTT systems are more common than you can imagine. The science is quite simple. PTT systems propel cylindrical containers through networks of tubes by compressed air or by partial vacuum. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, pneumatic tube networks became a common fixture in offices that needed to transport small, urgent packages, such as mail, paperwork, small objects, or money, over relatively short distances, within a building or at most within a city. These systems have been mostly abandoned in the past 2 decades as technology took over. However, such systems are not just still being used, but also further developed in hospitals. A small number of pneumatic transportation systems were also built for larger cargo. However, they never gained popularity. Nevertheless, it seems that the concept of large cargo containers being transported at extremely high speeds via hyperloops is gaining quite a lot of traction in recent years. In a nutshell, the concept of hyperloop-based pneumatic transportation is relatively old. It was invented by William Murdoch around 1799. The first known use of capsule pipelines was in the Victorian era to transmit telegrams from telegraph stations to nearby buildings. They called this the pneumatic system. And of course, this unique system was soon also deemed a necessity by the early stock exchanges. For example, in the late 1800s, the Electric Telegraph Company used the system to acquire stock prices and other financial information to pass to subscribers of their service over their telegraph wires. In the 19th century, the use of this primitive yet very unique innovative hyperloop system became common for moving small parcels, documents, and even cash at banks, large stores, and supermarkets. And here is the surprise. This technology is still in use today for communicating information and moving small objects where speed and convenience are important. Have you ever been to a drive-up bank in the USA? Well, it is likely then that the cash you withdraw reached you via a hyperloop. Today, many hospitals around the world would not give up their computer-controlled pneumatic tube systems for all the money in the world because it is simply exceedingly efficient and important for delivering drugs, documents, and specimens to and from laboratories and nurses' stations. In this case, the system can and does contribute to saving lives. Many factories still also use the technology to deliver parts quickly across various buildings. And if you have been to Las Vegas, you would have probably seen the system at work, moving money, chips, and cards quickly and securely. Here is an interesting fact. Japanese love hotels use them to allow customers to settle bills anonymously. And the story goes on and on, but this leads to a big major mystery, or the question of why did Elon Musk, Richard Branson, and many other billionaires and tech giants fail in developing large-scale hyperloop for the transport of people across long distances, safely, comfortably, and ultra-fast. For starters, physics dictates that people inside metallic pods that hover in vacuum tubes via magnetism and travel at the speed of 750 miles an hour over long distances where bends are inescapable due to the nature of Earth's surface and curvature, is the equivalent of being on an extremely fast and bumpy roller coaster that generates insane G-force. It is just madness, and people would feel intense nausea because the human body can handle only so much lateral or vertical acceleration. This fact alone means that hyperloops are feasible only if they are relatively slow, which defeats the whole point. Even with the use of the same technology used in magnetic levitation trains, such as the ones found in Japan, the desired speed cannot be achieved, and the Hyperloop would still be slow, achieving the maximum speed of 375 miles per hour. So technically speaking, the Hyperloop already exists, but in the form of bullet trains such as Japan's L0 series maglev train and China's CRRC Qingdao Sifang 2021 maglev high-speed train. Elon Musk can simply take one of these trains and slam it into an above or underground vacuum tube that is as straight as possible. And boom, we got a Hyperloop because the train will travel much faster inside the pressurized tube where drag due to air is near zero. But the human body would not be able to handle the immense speed of 750 miles per hour or more, and it would be a disaster unless we all get training as fighter jet pilots. And as you have already guessed, the cost of constructing such a tube that is straight and pressurized would be quite prohibitive, costing tenfold the cost of a regular maglev high-speed train. We do have to clarify something here. Even though maglev trains can reach the speed of 375 miles per hour, the speed while passengers or even cargo are on the train is capped at 275 miles per hour to keep people comfortable, safe, and to avoid issues associated with air resistance and power consumption. So engineers decided that the Hyperloop has to be a straight line, but the physicists jumped in and said, what about Earth's curve and messy terrain? The explanation is simple. Whenever you have a curve in your track, the radius of curvature sets the maximum safe speed for travel, and that speed is greater for freight than it is for humans, who are more sensitive to large accelerations. By the way, that's the main reason why companies are currently developing Hyperloops for freight and not people. The laws of physics are very simple and we cannot mess around with them. The laws of physics state that accelerations greater than about 2 meters per square second in the lateral or vertical directions pose a huge difficulty for humans. This law of physics and the nature of Earth's surface simply killed the long-distance Hyperloop concept. What many people do not understand is that Earth is not a perfect sphere. In reality, its terrain is quite messy. There are mountains, hills, valleys, rivers, lakes, and all sorts of other geological features on Earth's surface. No matter how straight the line between two distant points on Earth's surface is, it must, due to the nature of Earth's terrain, move up and down. Hence, it would still be a wild roller coaster for people. The solution for this dilemma is simple. The near-perfect straight-line Hyperloop must include bridges, underwater tunnels, on-ground tracks, and elevated tracks, which makes the whole concept extremely costly. We are talking as much as $1 trillion for a 2,000 kilometers Hyperloop, if not more. This fact sent the engineers back to the drawing board and investors to their dungeons. Additionally, engineers have to find a solution for the issue of G-force. You cannot just mess around with gravity. If, let's say, the typical G-force experienced along that journey in a Hyperloop is more than about 0.2 Gs, then passengers would experience routine nausea and vomiting. The laws of physics state that accelerations are proportional to the vehicle's speed squared, divided by the radius of curvature of the path that the vehicle takes. This is why Elon Musk made his 2013 Hyperloop white paper free for all to explore and improve. He knew that some magic is needed to make a 750 miles per hour Hyperloop system possible, comfortable, safe, and cost-effective. And that's exactly why the Dubai to Abu Dhabi Hyperloop failed, quite miserably, like many other projects. Thank you for watching. Please feel free to like, comment, share, and do subscribe as we will continue to take you on positive journeys about some of the most fascinating, massive, daring, progressive, and futuristic mega projects from around the world.